And so children, this is the symbol that Hitler used to somewhat hypnotize a whole generation of young men into doing the most horrific things and committing the most evil atrocities. Surely it must have taken a lot more than a flag and some motivational speaking to convince that many people to do something so extreme. Well, you see, something, hate's a very powerful thing, and it can make people do silly things and terrible things. I would say starvation is also probably a pretty powerful thing. Isn't it the case that before World War II and before Hitler came into power, Germany had been plunged into depression because Jewish bankers were handing out high-interest loans and it caused the economy to collapse? No. The fact that Jewish bankers at the time had taken a majority of the control of the banking in Germany and Germany's economic collapse is a coincidence. Sorry, you don't seem particularly certain. You're kind of fumbling here. See, that's one of his good points. We're talking about a lot of bad things here, but if you can say anything about him, he had a great projecting voice, did he not? Would you like to go into detention? For asking questions? No, for being disruptive. It's disruptive to ask questions? Questions that are inappropriate. And you're the person who decides what is and isn't appropriate. Seems a bit Hitlerish in all honesty, according to you anyway. Right, if you're just going to cause a nuisance, then you should get out. I'm really confused. We're here to learn and I'm asking questions and it seems like a massive part of the narrative or the story has been purposefully removed. And this doesn't make any sense to me. Why are you teaching us about every evil thing? Some things that haven't even been proven and have no evidence, but you're not teaching us about the fact that Anne Frank's death certificate dates back to before her diary, or that the bars of soap and hair that are used as evidence time and time again for the Holocaust has never been tested for human remains, or the fact that the doors on the concentration camps were made of wood that couldn't hold back a child, let alone hundreds of people that are fighting for their lives. Right, you need to stop. Why? Because it is anti-Semitic. And there's that word. I tell you, Teach, did you know that in the first ever DNA test of Jewish people done in 2001, no Semitic blood was found in their DNA whatsoever? They were made up of 40% Turkish and 40% Mongol, and then there was an unknown bit. Palestinian people had 80% Semitic heritage, and we don't recognize them as Semites, and if you say something against a Muslim, everyone in this class says a joke about Muslims every other day. No one calls them anti-Semitic. I've told you before, you need to leave. And I will, but I'm not done yet. It seems to me that anti-Semitic is just a Jew version of Christians saying it's God's plan, and what they really mean is, I'm done with critical thinking and you're making me uncomfortable, so I would like this conversation to end. But I'm not satisfied with your answers, and I do not see why I should be deemed disruptive for asking completely valid questions. So I'm going to keep asking these completely valid questions until somebody gives me some proper answers. Right, you are completely unwilling to learn, and you have shown disruptive tendencies, so you will be being placed in detention. I hope you're happy with yourself. Fine, fuck it, in for a penny, in for a pound. What is that? It's weird. You're telling me that Time Magazine's Man of the Year, who was one of the most accomplished, if not the most accomplished, soldiers, humanitarians, politicians that has ever lived and that we know of in the modern century, just decided one day to kill 6 million people for no reason. Sonny! You taught us about the book burnings, but you didn't teach us that the books that they burnt endorsed paedophilia and transgenderism? Science! Not done yet. You also teach us about the 6 million, but you don't tell us about the fact that New York Times reported over 10 different stories regarding the 6 million, 5 to 10 years before it supposedly happened. Sonny! Or the fact that the admission from Hess only came after his family was threatened with execution. Look, I have told you. Detention. If you're just gonna put people in detention for asking questions, then the entire point of me coming here is redundant. I came here to ask questions. You're not here to ask questions. You're here to listen. I'm done listening.